Hello again. We will resume with our review of the OT levels of Scientology, the upper secret levels that Scientology doesn't want you to know about until you are thoroughly hypnotized and brainwashed enough to believe them. That's my opinion only. The purpose of the remaining OT levels is to reorient the newly exteriorized Thetan with the physical universe, and through a series of drills, help him regain his long-lost powers. On OT4, the Scientologist practices, quote, mocking up, unquote, mentally recreating implants and GPMs until he is proofed against any possibility of being re-implanted now that he has finished running implants on OT3. On OT5, the Thetan exterior, quote-unquote, is refamiliarized with the physical universe in order to increase his ability to communicate with the environment. He learns to use his new abilities as a Thetan with wisdom and judgment. The first drill on this level is done with the person lying down with eyes closed. Here's the drill. Spot a spot in the room. Spot a spot in your body. These are done alternately until a cognition is reached. Spot a spot outside. Spot a spot on the sun. In other drills on this level, the pre-OT, or the person being audited, is to pick out an object ahead of him and wrap an energy beam around it and himself and pull himself toward the object with shortening of the beam. Notice what happens. This is part of the drill. Then, locate an object. Draw energy from it into you. Repeat at least 10 times. Notice a cloud, and notice the space between you and it. Notice the motion of the earth and your relationship to it. Notice something about 10 people. Whatever you are looking at, copy it a dozen times. Put it into you. Find the 2 back corners of the room and hold on to them without thinking for 2 minutes. Try doing that one. Find 2 corners of the planet Earth. Hold on to them for 2 minutes. Find a place where you are not. Spot 3 spots on your body. Spot 3 spots in the room. Be in the following places: the room, the sky, the moon, the sun. Locate an animal. Postulate him moving from one spot to another. Observe him doing this. Find a man walking. Postulate his walking faster. Do this with 20 people. Find a person in a distant land. Notice the time of day. Notice the terrain. Notice the general environment. Smell the air. Locate a thought that is his. Locate a thought that is yours. Postulate anger, boredom, grief, cheerfulness, and serenity in that order. This is continued until you are sure that you can create any emotion. Exteriorized, visit a friend who lives in another state. Greet him and flow affinity to him. Ask him to communicate to you by letter. OT7, as we go on, has to do with rehabilitating the intention of the thetan. On this level, the person practices psychically placing his intention, quote unquote, into another person or object. Find some plants, trees, etc., and communicate to them individually until you know they received your communication. Go to a zoo or a place with many types of life and communicate with each of them until you know the communication is received and, if possible, returned. Go out to a park, train station, or other busy area. Practice placing an intention into individuals until you can successfully and easily place an intention into or on a being and or a body. The OT levels have changed somewhat over time. However, there is more that is unchanged than that is changed. Other than the time and money expended in pursuit of the ambiguous goals promised for each of these levels, is there any danger in these drills? I think so. Two psychologists, Conway and Siegelman, found that, hour for hour, Scientology's techniques may be more than twice as dangerous as those of any other major cult. On the average, former Scientologists surveyed reported more than twice the combined negative effects of all other cult groups. Some of the negative effects observed among former Scientologists were sexual dysfunction, violent outbursts, hallucinations and delusions, and suicidal or self-destructive tendencies. In the Lewis Carroll-like world of Scientology, and especially on the OT levels, a person might well wonder if he has gone through the looking glass. So bizarre are these levels. Why do people in Scientology go along with these levels? Well, one, I believe they're hypnotized and brainwashed. Two different things. That's my opinion only. It's kind of like the Emperor's New Clothes, one former Scientologist explains. Nobody wants to be the one who says the Emperor has no clothes on. But it's other things too. You believe that Hubbard is right, that he is like God. You believe that if he says it's true, then it's true. And two, because everything is so expensive, you just assume that it has value. After spending a few $1,000s on Scientology, no one wants to admit that he's been had. It is interesting that the goals of both Hitler and Hubbard were the same: to create a new race of supermen and women, Hitler through genetic breeding, and Hubbard through auditing. Two men, born of the same occult crucible, who have wrought untold destruction in the lives of those whose paths they happen to cross. It is reported that Scientology has allocated $500,000 to a special trust to ensure that the name of L. Ron Hubbard will live on forever. Whether he will live on in fame or in infamy remains to be seen. Thank you for your time. Signing off, Margery Wakefield.